How's it going, everyone? My name is Dave. I'm one of the team members working on the mmorpg Ethereal Echoes of Yore. I am a team member who joined the team around May of this year, and I've been working to improve different facets of the game, mainly the user experience and user interface of the game. And I wanted to show some of the progress that we have made and some of the things that we will be doing in the near future. So I'll jump right in. We had a patch for the UI, I think around a month ago, and the patch included some of the major changes to the player HUD, and I want to go over a few of the highlights of that, which I created in this infographic here. The first thing that we had changed is the player nameplate. I aim to simplify it and give more attention to the health and mana bars. The previous design had the health in this circle and the mana bar in the bar, and it didn't really make as much sense to have the circle be the health and the bar be the mana, so I created a solution that had the bar be the mana and the health at the same time. I created a little bit more information with the player name, the level, the class of the player, and the class icon of the player also in the info bar. I had improved some other elements of the game, such as the action bar, added a frame to it aesthetically to improve some of the grouping of the elements, and also added an experience bar above the action bar because there wasn't really a way to track your level or level progress in the game at that point. The NPC name panel got very, very crowded when there were a lot of NPCs or enemies in a particular area, so we got rid of it and simplified the design of the name coloring. As you can see on the right, we don't have really the beige and orange, it's the white and beige now. We updated the mini-map in terms of the positioning of the title, day, and location of the player, and made it a circle instead of a square. We thought that maybe circle had better recall from other MMORPGs, and so we decided to make it a circle. We changed the progress bar aesthetic to match the color palette of the game, and also I guess clean it up a little bit. We put some illumination on the front to make it more clear that it was a progress bar moving up towards 100%. We added a simplification step to the enemy health bars. There was a interesting border around here that we got rid of and simplified the health of the enemy. And then we also started working on mouse over tooltips. This is not finalized yet, but we want to reward players for researching enemies, and so we thought to have to show some of the weaknesses and the resistances of the enemy by having this tooltip. This was not here in the game before, so this is kind of a new feature that we added, and hopefully people will like having some more contextual information about players and enemies in the game. So that was a rapid fire description of the things that we had worked so far. I mainly want to show you what we are currently working on in a little bit more depth. So we'll jump over here and talk about the guild UI, one of the things that we are currently working on now that we hopefully should have released relatively soon. We are working to make a guild system in the game. That obviously takes some development on the architecture end, and also setting up the database to have people enter and leave guilds, but it was my job to create the user interface for it. So this is a mock-up that I had created that we're following pretty closely into the main product. Basically, it is a guild panel that shows like an Excel spreadsheet of where everyone is in the guild. You'll have like the name, class, level, location, rank, guild experience contribution, a custom note that you can put for the player and whether they're online or not. And then on the right, you'll have information related to your guild. So we have the guild title, the level of the guild, how much guild experience you need for the next level, and any cheeky messages of the day that you want to put on your guild. We're testing this so far. We're seeing how we're getting all the, there's a lot of sorting algorithms that we need for these. Basically, it's like an Excel spreadsheet that we have to build in Engine. And so this should be available pretty soon. So I'm pretty excited for that. So stay tuned. One of the things on the pipeline that we've been working on is the character skill sheet. So If you've played the game, you'll notice that first you'll notice that this is on skills and this is actually supposed to be on character, so that's my fault for a incorrect mock-up. I apologize. But right now you would have a window that just shows the character section, and then another one that shows your vitals. There was no equipment and character window that was combined, and so we thought that instead of having you tab between both of them to put an equipment on and then see how it affects your vitals, we put it in one screen. And so this is what it would look like. You have all of your equipment slots here, and then you also have your vitals. So you're able to put an equipment in, see how it changes your skill, your attributes and your vitals, and you can just basically min-max your character from one screen instead of having to go between two screens. Also, what hasn't been present in the UI before was your character level, class, and your name, and the progress to your next level. I thought just like because character progress is really important in this game, having ways for you to see your character progress in most windows is really important to us. So I thought that I would include it there as well. So if you make believe that this was the character tab that you had selected and now you're on the skills tab, which is actually what it's supposed to be, we wanted to create a window that allows you to track your skills. And so skills in this game will be divided into your trade skills and your combat skills. Right now, trade skills are any gathering and crafting profession that you have, and then combat is all your combat skills. So for trades and combat headers that you see on top here, we have the name of the category, your level of that category, and your server rank of that category as well. Then within each of here, you're able to see your completion percentages of all of the trade skills in the category. So if you had 100% in your trade skills, you would be max level for everything, which would be an amazing feat to have. And then you have the list of your individual trade skills, so you can see the progress of the things that you're working on. And so we'll have this sorted so that you'll have the top level skill on top and the lowest level skill on the bottom. Combat works the same way. You'll have the completion percentage here, and then the skills that are related to combat. These buttons here, note them right now. There's a widget that I will talk about very soon where you're able to click the buttons here on the skills tab, and it'll help you track those skills on your skill widget on your HUD. But that'll be in just a second. I'm gonna pan over here to the next UI thing that we're working on, which is the quest log. Right now, the quest log is pretty feature complete. We just wanted to make an aesthetic update to it and also add a tab for a different system that we're adding. We haven't decided whether we're going to have the player tab drop down the different locations that the quests are in, or have each location in this scroll area here. But the idea is that you would see all your active quests for a particular location, and any completed quests that you have as well. Within this window here, you have the quest type, quest name, the quest description here, your objective step, and the things that you've completed in your objective. Some of the things I wanted to improve was also that the map button wasn't very obvious in the old UI, so I wanted a clear call to action at the bottom where you're able to check your map if the current step has a map icon. Also an abandon button if the quest allows you to abandon it. We wanted it to be very easy for a player to identify those call to actions here. And then on top, we have a button. If you see closely here, it says Paths. Paths is not in the game right now, and we want to introduce this type of mechanic that is sort of adjacent to quests that we'll show over here as we pan over. So Paths is basically a solution that we have for the sandbox environment for the game. Right now, there isn't really any direction that a player can have, and that's sort of like the function of a sandbox game. You have to make your own goals, but a way that we can anchor players on a particular direction is by giving them hints about all the content in the game and having them pursue that content. So paths are sort of like tasks that you can complete while you're experiencing the game, and they have certain requirements that you have to meet to reach that particular path. Like it's a path, like you're walking through different content of the game. So let me just give you an example. One of the first paths that we had thought about is the peon. You know, you literally you wash up ashore on the solitary isles, and you have to, you know, make a name for yourself, but you're really just a worker at this point. So each path module has the name of the path up here, the reward that you would get for completing the path, a drop-down icon for you to see the tasks that are required in the path, and a requirement indicator telling you whether you have met all the requirements. And in this case, it's red, so you would hover over it and you would see a tooltip over here that shows you the type of things that you would need to have to collect the data for this path to complete it. So obviously we're not really crispy enough to do anything. I know I have a bacon motif that goes through all of my mock-ups. This is actually a piece of bacon, and so if you're not crispy enough, you cannot proceed in the first part of the path. So the path would, once you unlock the requirements for the path, you'll be able to start doing things related to that path. In this case, in Solitary Isles, there's a lot of spiders. So one of the ideas could be to kill a bunch of spiders to complete a bunch of Solitary Isle quests, and so on. You would be able to see all of these other modules below, like the Spelunker, which maybe has to do with going underground or going in dungeons. The Hunter, maybe, which is like killing a certain number of beasts in the game. Or the Trader, which is selling things on the trading post, or crafting certain things. Each of these paths will be able to be observed by the user or player of the game. And so it gives the full scope of the game right up front for the player to consider and have them it helps them make their own goals. Sandboxes are pretty tricky because you have to consider the audience that you're dealing with. And while there are a lot of people that are able to make goals for themselves, we want people who are maybe not as into sandboxes play the game and have some starting off point that they could help make their own goals with. Okay, pan over once more, and we have the skills widget over here. The skills widget is going to be something that you see on your HUD, which allows you to track all of the skills that you've been working on. Think like the RuneScape widget that you see with all of your abilities on like the bottom right corner. This is very similar. Each of these will show your current level of the category, the progress towards max level, and the different categories themselves with drop downs for the abilities, sort of like the same layout as the skills tab in your character window. So the 4 categories that we have here are the tracked skills that you'd be able to select from your skills tab, the martial or melee category, which is all your melee skills, your ranged combat skills, and your magic skills. And so opening one of these will give you a layout of all of the sub skills that you have that fit into this category, so you're able to track individual things that you're working on. So we haven't really developed this out yet, but this is sort of in the pipeline. I want to show you guys so that you can look forward to something fun. Okay, next, backpack and inventory. So this one we also haven't really built out yet, and it's currently in its prototype phase, but right now the bag system can have different improvements. There are a lot of bag slots that you can have, which is a plus and minus at the same time. The plus being you can open up a bunch of different bags and have compartments where you can organize items, but that can also get pretty disorganized. So one of the solutions that we have is to improve the aesthetics of the bag system, but also allow you to toggle between different categories that you can have in your bag. So you could have your normal backpack, which has all non-material and quest items, and then you can have, you can click this button here and it'll show you all the materials that you have gathered, and then all the quest items that you have gathered. Right now it's actually really hard to find your quest bag. It's in your character window, and so we wanted to improve the user experience there by having it all consolidated in one UI. So we're still working on this. We know that there's a lot of player feedback where they like to have different bags open, so maybe we can compromise and have just like an improvement of the aesthetics here and give a little bit more organization on top for the players. Shifting over here, we have something that will be pretty exciting for players. Again, this is not something that we are working on just yet, but here is the UI for it. It is a auction house or trading post system. Think the Grand Exchange for RuneScape. It functions in a very similar way. You can sell or buy items on this. You can search for an item that exists. You can drag an item from your inventory that allows you to sell a bunch of different things, and you'll be able to leverage this UI to build the economy of Ethyrial out. We have a user flow for this that we're testing to see if it works. But this is still something that we're going through and checking to see if the user experience works and if it's translatable into code. But just want to give you a teaser of some of those things that we've been working on. And then we also have the crafting window. The crafting window right now is a little bit cumbersome. And one of the things while I was playing the game that I thought was a little confusing is finding blueprints that you already know and how that translates into the requirements to satisfy that blueprint. So I thought the best way to do this, in addition to improving the aesthetics of the design, is to call out the known blueprints on the side via a sidebar. So you would have each of your major categories for a particular crafting station on the left. You'd be able to search the known recipes or blueprints that you have, and then you'll also be able to see all the subcategories for a particular blueprint category. So this will help drive a little bit more friendly user experience and maybe streamline your knowledge gaining for crafting stations and being able to see what type of things you're able to craft easily. We also thought of creating a system where the grid system of placing items on the grid is more like the Minecraft system, where it's fixed and you can't really add squares to your crafting module. So envision like a 3x3 grid. In this case, we would assume that everything's a 2x3, but if you had a 3x3 grid of all of the items, you'd be able to make every single item in the game with manipulating that 3x3 grid. And I think it's a little confusing where you can add certain squares to that grid. I think there's a lot of combinations that you can make with 3x3, so I think that would be good enough. And so you'd be able to click a particular item, see that grid here, add your items that add the items to the inventory that you see here, and then craft the item. There is probably a try fill button that we need to add here as well, which exists in the previous UI to make things auto add the ingredients as well. So we can do that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is the splash icon for the Steam logo. Right now it's a old logo. We want to refresh it and give a little bit more space for updating the logo with critical updates. So this is actually the same background as the Quest UI window. It's like the crumbled paper with like the light at the bottom of it. We wanted to do this sort of motif because we want Ethyrial to be like a game where you discover things on your own, and kind of like having the light on the bottom half and having it dark on top sort of represents that dichotomy of learning more about the game but having the rest of the game kind of obscured for you to explore. And so this also sort of simplifies the design as well, and we hope you like it. We're not 100% finalized on it, but we're moving towards this as a direction. This also allows us to add individual banners at the bottom that show updates related to the game. We want to show people that we're actively working on the game. There's new people working on the game like myself, and we're working really hard to make it as good as we can for players. So the idea is that you would have this as like the base splash art, and then at the bottom here you'd be able to see an update relative to the game. So like, you know, you can have like update 12 here, and you would have the update content that is most applicable. Like guilds would probably be the next thing that we release. We would update the splash art like you see in a lot of other Steam games with the content available. So that's pretty much a short list of the things that we have on tap for you guys for the near future. If you have any questions, my alias in the Discord, if you do decide to join the Discord, is Cheesemay. I'm always on the Discord. I know Ryan, the leader of Oath Games and this game, is also on there all the time. We'd be happy to answer any questions. And honestly, we'd also be happy for any feedback that you guys have for our designs. We're sort of working in a vacuum, and one of the most valuable things as a UI and UX designer are the players themselves. And so any comments that you have with a UI that has already been built or a UI that is going to be built, we really appreciate all feedback that you have. Thank you again. Like I said, my name's Dave. I'm one of the UI designers and game designers on this team, and I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day and weekend. Thank you.